video we looked at the overview of the light reaction. Set the light reaction. So again, photosynthesis is divided into the dark reaction and the light reaction. The light reaction, the presence of light. So the first thing that happens in the presence of light, since every plant that can photosynthesize must contain chloroplast containing some pigment called chlorophyll. So it's in that chlorophyll where we absorb the light. So the first thing that happens is the activation of that chlorophyll. What activates the chlorophyll is sunlight. So the chlorophyll is activated, then photolysis of water occurs. I will tell you the importance of photolysis of water so we don't cram at all when we look at the membrane of the thylakoid, where this light reaction actually happens. Then the next thing that happens is the conversion of light energy into chemical energy. Very important, because what we are actually capturing or activating our chlorophyll is so that we can actually convert that light energy, because in that sunlight there is actually what? Energy. So we need that energy not in the form of the sunlight, we need it in the form of what? Chemical energy. And that chemical energy is temporarily stored as what? As ATP and what? NADPH. So let's look at the membrane of the thylakoid. What is happening in the light reaction for, so we can understand that. So we said in our plant cell we have our chloroplast. In our chloroplast we have the chlorophyll. So inside the chlorophyll now, let's say inside the chlorophyll now, we have what we call thylakoid. So I've drawn that as an example for you to see before. We have thylakoids that are together. These are the thylakoids like this. And when we see something like this, so let's say these are the thylakoids. Everything has double membrane. So on the membrane of the thylakoid, look at that very well. So it's where we want to, where those things I wrote, where they occur. So let's say we zoom in this now. We are zooming in the membrane of the thylakoid. It's something like this. Wow. Say it again. Wow. Let me bring it down a little bit. So the membrane of the thylakoid is where all the whole reaction actually occurs. So the first thing that occurs, I said now those chlorophyll that we mentioned, they are packed together. All those pigments, chlorophyll, carotenoid. Carotenoid, don't forget, is what? Is an accessory pigment. Don't forget that. It's very important. Chlorophyll, carotenoid, chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, all of them are packed into a system. You don't need to know this name. Photosystem, they will now ask you, but just for you to understand what is happening. Photosystem. There are two photosystems in the plant cell. We have photosystem 1 and 2. Photosystem 1, photosystem 2, photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So what is happening in the photosystem? I told you that the light reaction or photosynthesis, light reaction occurs like an electron transport chain. We are transporting electron from one carrier to another carrier. The first thing that happens is the what? Activation of chlorophyll. Where is the chlorophyll located? Inside our photosystem, right? So what happens? Sunlight comes in. Say this is sunlight, and does what? Activate our chlorophyll in our photosystem. So what does it mean to be activated? It is energized. In our chemistry we call that what? Being what? Excited. So it wants to now, that energy we want to now be going to that electron rather, sorry, we want to transport to another place, transport to another side, transport to another place, like that. So it's going to pass through a series of electron transport chain. That's why we called it a electron transport chain. We have electron carriers like that also in the photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 like that. We have electron carriers like that. So our electron, just pay attention, she's going to be going like this. Let's just say it's going to be oh, sorry, that's I don't mind my diagram. Just understand the fact that it is going, then the energy that we are using to transfer these electrons like that is now going to be used to reduce NAD to what? NADPH. Wow. We have converted what? Light energy into what? Chemical energy. So you understand how that conversion occurs. Pass through the system, it is being energized. But don't forget, when we say something is excited and it has passed its electron, it will go back to what? In chemistry, to the ground state. right? So it is not more happy again. But that reaction needs to continue. We need more electron to continue. What helps that brings about that replacement of electron. So this electron has moved away from this photosystem. It needs to be what? To be replaced back. And that is where photolysis of water comes in place. So in photolysis of water, by an enzyme, it's called an hydrolase enzyme. Just use an enzyme. Enzyme helps to split water. Enzyme splits water into 4H plus 4E minus plus O2. So you can see we split water into proton, electron, and oxygen. Don't forget, oxygen is given up during photosynthesis. So this photosynthesis will leave the thylakoid membrane, it will leave the stroma, it will leave the chloroplast, it will leave the plant leaf, it will go to the atmosphere. What do? You break it, and you use it for your own cellular respiration. So what is happening is that, so this electron will now be used to do what? To replace, you can see it will be used to replace this electron that is coming. So you can see the move from sun goes from the photolysis of water. So you can understand. So the first thing that happened is what? Is the activation of chlorophyll. This is the number 1 reaction. These are what? Number 2 reaction, or number 3, or anything. Just know that the ending is that what? Our chemical energy is sunlight is connected to what? To chemical energy. So what about our ATP? We said ATP is the energy currency of the cell. Where do we get our ATP from? Wow. This proton, look at this proton. As we are, don't forget, water is going to be coming in when it's raining, you water your plants, so plenty water like that. As the process is going on, we're going to be forming more of this reaction. That's why it will keep replacing. We're going to be forming more of H plus in the cell, in the inside, outside the thylakoid membrane. H plus. All this H plus proton. Let me use as proton. Let me call them proton. Don't forget, it's a proton, right? This proton will now go through one particular enzyme. It is called ATP synthase. Forget about the name. ATP synthase is something like this. Forget about the name. Just understand what is happening. So you will see the importance of photolysis of water. That synthase will now do what? Add the energy that it is using to transport the proton across the proton gradient. Leave the language. It's going to do what? Add one phosphate group to ADP, and it's going to produce what? AT. Don't forget, adenosine diphosphate. Then if we add one phosphate group, it's going to turn to what? Triphosphate. So the energy it is using to add the phosphate group to ADP is from that energy we are using to transport that proton to what? To ATP. Wow. So in our light reaction, we have produced NADP. We have also produced what? ATP. So you can see what is happening in our light reaction. So the first thing, let's say it is what? Activation of chlorophyll. We have what? Photolysis of water. And we have what? Chemical energy. Is it not interesting? Why your plant is staying on its own and it is doing all this reaction, producing their own food. So this energy is going to be used in the what? In the Calvin cycle, in the dark reaction, to fix our CO2. So in our next video, we are going to see where this ATP and NADPH goes to produce our organic compound, which is glucose. So stay with us as we come back to understand dark reaction. Thank you very much.